Hello, YouTube. At first glance, it looks like an old, abandoned locomotive. But wait, you better take a closer look. At one time, this train looked like a means of transportation from the books of science fiction writers, or as a futuristic mode of transport. Probably people who saw this train passing turned around and became quite delighted. But now, this train is abandoned and covered with rust. In fact, this is not just a train, but a forgotten Soviet high-speed laboratory rail car built in 1970 at the Kalinin Railroad Car Building Plant. Abbreviation in Russian is KVZ, and we'll use it for brevity. This super train was capable of traveling at a speed of about 200 kilometers an hour. Two aircraft turbojet engines from the Yak-40 aircraft were installed on the roof of the locomotive, which created the necessarily thrust force for movement. It is interesting to know that the weight of the two engines is about 1 ton, and their maximum thrust is 3,000 kilogram force, kgf. Even today, this powerful miracle of technology still is a big surprise. The idea to create a jet-powered train came to Soviet designers in the late 1960s. So in 1970, a prototype locomotive was built, which was equipped with two turbojet engines. The prototype railcar was used only for research, but some seriously believed that such trains were the future. And I still don't know exactly what research it was used for. Well, in 1970, the Kalinin Railroad Building Plant, I think now it's called the Tver Railroad Car Building Plant, the same KVZ, completed the manufacture of this railway car, called the SVL, High Speed Laboratory Railway Car. And SVL is abbreviation in Russian, so we'll use this abbreviation. The body of the high-speed rail car was built on the basis of the ER-22 motor head car, which had head and tail fairings, and the undercarriage, and were covered on both sides with removable bulwarks. Fairing is an external metal or plastic structure added to increase streamlining and reduce drag, especially on a high-performance car, motorcycle, boat, or aircraft. Moreover, the cabin, the front and rear walls of the ER-22 were preserved. The fairings were only the attachments. It's funny that as a result, the engine driver looked at the path through two windows, the cockpit and the fairing. That was his view. The shape of the fairings was developed by Moscow State University and had a drag coefficient of 0.252. The rail car model was blown through a wind channel at the Central Aerohydrodynamic Institute, TSAGI in Russian. As a matter of fact, KVZ, the plan was to build a super high-speed jet train called Russian Troika with these fairings. To reduce air resistance when driving at high speeds, the CA3 coupler was also closed with a removable fairing. The ER-2267 head car was specially built by Riga Railway Car Building Plant for the SVL. That is, the drawings were ordinary, but the special attention was paid to the quality of workmanship. Initially, the SVL was painted in the colors of ER-22, cream yellow top and red bottom. The length of the rail car with fairings was 28 meters. The rail car had two axle rail trolleys of the KVZ and the Scientific Research Institute of Railcar Building, with pneumatic springs of central suspension, which were unusual for the head car. Such trolleys were previously installed on trailed rail cars of electric trains, which is not surprising because the ER-22 electric train, like any other of that time, was formed from lead motor and trailer cars, wagon cars or rail cars. The Riga Railroad car building plant manufactured lead and motor rail cars, and the KVZ produced trailed railroad cars. The electrical equipment for ER-22 was manufactured by that Riga electric machine building plant. An aircraft engine control panel was installed in the engine driver's cabin. Tests of the SVL began in 1971. During the first tests, a speed of 187 kilometers an hour was achieved. They didn't increase the speed, although they could. This is due to the fact that there were a large number of turns on the Galutvin-Ozeri line with no straight sections. A year later, the SVL was decided to be used on the Dnieper Railway in the area of Novomoskovsk, Dnepro-Dzerzhinsk line. This time, the engines were able to accelerate the SVL to 249 kilometers an hour, but due to the poor condition of the tracks, the speed was not increased. During the experiments, the engineers found out that the rail car could withstand speeds of up to 350 kilometers an hour. The wheel sets have been improved as well as a number of other elements, but in 1975 the project was closed. SVL fulfilled all the requirements that were part of the initial task of the engineers. Its further use was discontinued. So it only ended with tests, after which the turbo train was abandoned in the backyard of the Kalinin Railroad car building plant at the Doroshina station. For a long time, the SVL was idle there. Some of the equipment was dismantled from it. Someone said that they wanted to make a video salon or cafe inside the railroad car, but it never happened. In the year 2008, a monument was made from the SVL near the same factory. The front part, along with the engines, was separated from it. Everything else was disposed of. It's amazing what technology came to be in the distant 1970s. This turbo train is the great-grandfather of the modern high-speed trains. And that's all I know about this SVL. But to me, it's a very interesting part of history. That's what I wanted to let you know today. And if you like my research, please kindly support me through the links you will find in the description to this video. From time to time, I tell you about Soviet discoveries, very interesting discoveries, and very forward for the time. But they came to nothing for the most part. If you need me to cover any other subject that you would be interested in and I can fit it in my channel framework, I will. I will concentrate, of course, on the paranormal phenomena of Eurasia, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Central Asia, and of course China, about psi research and weapons development in former Soviet Union and modern Russia. Thank you for your attention to my work.